What contract do you think is a good contract? What contract do you think is not advantageous to the Lakers? You can all think whatever the hell you want about LeBron James. That man is still underpaid in his 22nd year in the NBA. He is. I mean, just obviously what he brings to the table, put the business side to it, to, he's box office, but put all that to the side. Let's look at some of these Laker contracts. LeBron, we don't need to talk about. Contract makes sense. Anthony Davis, hell, for all we know, AD, by the time this year is all said and done, if he doesn't win MVP, maybe he's a top 3 candidate or something like that. We don't have to worry about Anthony Davis. This is where I think it starts getting interesting with these Laker contracts. D'Angelo Russell, simply put, is not holding his weight so far this year for the Lakers, period. There's no really other way to mix the words here. He's not. And if the biggest asset D'Angelo Russell is to your team is that his contract is expiring, then that tells you that that player is not as valuable as you need him to be. If one of the main talking points right now about D'Angelo Russell is about trading him, then that tells you what his value is. So D'Angelo Russell is a great example of somebody right now within these contracts, and as we kind of analyze what Rob Pelinka has put together, and if Rob Pelinka is doing a great job or Rob Pelinka is doing average job or Rob Pelinka is doing a poor job, you can kind of highlight these with some of the contracts that are out there. D'Angelo Russell, I don't want to hear anybody making a case that that's a good contract. What it is it's an expiring contract, so at least it's not on your books for multiple years. Rui Hachimura. Do you guys believe Rui Hachimura is living up to his end of the bargain of that 50, what did he get? 17 a year. I want to say $54 million contract. I don't think he is. I don't think he's consistent enough. I don't think he's doing enough. And I'd really, really like to see what Rui Hachimura was able to do yesterday, where you felt his impact. He had 7 rebounds. He was kind of all over the place on both sides of the floor. That's the Rui Hachimura you look for. And I'm not telling you he's got to drop 25 a night. I'm just saying that you want that impact on a more consistent basis. Austin Reeves. Austin Reeves seems like a value contract right now. $13 million, $14 million next year. And then I think this is a player option for that, $15 million. That sounds like a value contract to me. Austin Reeves is the 3rd best player on this Lakers team. And I think the Lakers, again, their money's worth for Austin Reeves, and he's there on a consistent basis. Gabe Vincent, not worth it. Jared Vanderbilt, I hope he's worth it. I just never see Jared Vanderbilt on the floor. Max Christie, definitely not worth it up to this point. It's early. He's young. Can he turn things around? It's the first year of his 4-year contract. No question about it. That could all change. Today, as we sit here, Max Christie and Alan Sliwa played the same amount of minutes yesterday. We played the same amount of minutes yesterday. Jalen Hood-Schifino, good contract or bad contract? The Lakers already decided they're not picking up his contract next year, and he's going to become an unrestricted free agent. They already told you that that's not a good contract. They already told you that that's a wasted pick. Keep going. Dalton Connect, badass. Christian Wood, Cam Reddish, and Jackson Hayes all fall into the exact same category. They all had player options in their second year, which was this year, and they all picked up their player option, which means no other team out there was willing to give them more than what the Lakers were getting. I think you know the definition there. The point that I'm trying to make is after the obvious ones, LeBron and Anthony Davis, I think Austin Reeves is really the only value contract that the Lakers have after that. You can make a case for Vando. I'm a fan of Vando's game. The problem is he hasn't been on the floor. You can make the Dalton Connect thing is a no question about it. There's value there. But every other piece that the Lakers have, you got to stop for a second there. You got to really, really stop and think to yourself, well, what the hell is this roster? I mean, where are the other pieces that are incredibly important? Where are the other pieces that contribute to this Lakers team? Where are the other value pieces that are out there? And, this kind of takes me to my next conversation, which is about Rob Pelinka. I'm going to throw this question out, and I really, really I genuinely want to get the opinion of Laker fans out there. What do you think of Rob Pelinka? Now, if the knee-jerk reaction is going to be, oh, this guy can't make a trade. He's terrible. He's awful. I want to give everybody a quick reminder. He had a big piece to do with a championship that the Lakers had in 2020. So you can't just pretend that that doesn't exist. He was a part of that team. He was a part of that roster. Lakers did win a championship in 2020. He was also part of the roster where he made all those moves. Remember when he traded for D'Lo, he traded for Rui, he traded for Jared Vanderbilt. He made all those moves right before the trade deadline about a year and a half ago, and Lakers got to the Western Conference Finals. Now, you can have your opinion on the Western Conference Finals. You could say, yeah, but the Lakers got swept. You could say whatever you want. You could say the path that they got there, they got lucky because they played Memphis, who was beat up. They played a Warriors team that they were going to, Warriors just didn't have the size. You can make all the excuses that you want to how they got there. But on his resume as a president of basketball operations, he has a championship in 2020, and he also has a Western Conference Finals appearance in 2023. Yeah, 2023. Those are on his resume. So you can't talk about Rob Pelinka and criticize him without knowing that those are two things that he accomplished. Here's my problem with Rob Pelinka. Here are my issues with Rob Pelinka. He has not done a good job of rounding up the rest of the roster. And I think the contracts that I just went through right now is a great example. There were moves he's made, and I know a lot of Laker fans are going to mention this, and it's completely fair. Why did you make such a shakeup in 2020 after you won an NBA championship? Why were there so many players that were not re-signed? Okay, you went out and got Dennis Schroeder. I thought that was going to be a good, obviously a good addition. Montrezl Harrell came on the team. Marc Gasol was on the team. They made pretty significant changes to the players around LeBron and Anthony Davis, and it ended up, certainly costing the Lakers making a run. He traded for Russell Westbrook. And however, whatever your thoughts there and say, oh, well, that was LeBron, that was this. You're the president of basketball operations. You're the one that will have the final say, or at least will go back to ownership and say, guys, I really don't think we should do this. And they should take your opinion on that. And I think the current roster that the Lakers have, what will hurt them more than anything else is going to be their lack of depth, their bench. Most teams in the NBA, go look at the Warriors right now. They're playing 10, 11 deep. Go look at the Dallas Mavericks. Go look at how many different players they have that they can swap in. And once they get healthy as well, they're not fully healthy. The Oklahoma City Thunder, go see what they did in the offseason. That's the portion for me where I think Rob Pelinka, I think the obvious ones he's been able to do, but not enough kind of, wow, that's a genius move from Pelinka. Wow, that trade right there is the difference of the Lakers just being in the play-in tournament to potentially get into the Western Conference Finals. We need to see, and I think this upcoming, trade deadline, I don't want to hear any excuses. I saw this article. Dave McMenamin obviously covers the Lakers NBA. I'm not sure what this piece was, but I felt like it was in defense of Rob Pelinka. And let me read here a little piece of what he said here. So, and McMenamin, listen, he'll go at the Lakers. He'll compliment them. I'm a fan of his work and certainly what he's done as far as his reporting. But the piece basically says that it may not be the fault of Rob Pelinka for where the Lakers are right now, that other teams are shutting out the Lakers as they make calls around the league. Here's the exact piece of it. Dating back to last season's trade deadline, the Lakers front office has been met with more closed doors when canvassing the league for trade opportunities, sources tell ESPN. It's hard to tell whether that is because the Lakers roster is seen as undesirable by other teams or because of LA's reluctance to offer future draft picks and compromise its post-LeBron future, or because the CBA has limited activity with teams either already stuck above the second apron or dreadfully avoiding it. The Lakers still consider adding front court depth behind Anthony Davis and Jackson Hayes. Talked about, potentially going out there and trying to get a guy like Brook Lopez or Jonas Valanciunas. I've seen those reports out there. That sounds like an excuse to me, because the trade deadline last year saw the Dallas Mavericks make really smart, intelligent moves to get them to the NBA Finals. The Oklahoma City Thunder went out this past offseason and got Alex Caruso and Isaiah Hartenstein. And, well, Caruso, Hartenstein they just signed, but Caruso was the player that they went out and made a trade for. I don't want to hear excuses for Rob Pelinka. I really don't. And what I don't want to hear is, there's teams don't want to make a deal with the Lakers. Figure it out. It's the Lakers. That's kind of what this franchise have always done. Do you think back in the days Jerry West was saying, you know what? Teams don't want to make a move with me. I just can't make a move. You think Dr. Jerry Buss was sitting back and saying, geez, a lot of teams don't want to see the Lakers have success. Guys, let's sit this one out. They've sat out the last year and a half of making a move to improve the roster. You can't do that again. I mean, there's this year, and I'm going to keep emphasizing this, as we get closer to this trade deadline, either this Lakers team will just make no noise in the playoffs because they didn't make a deal. When I say no noise, what do I mean? Maybe win a round. Everything kind of has to go their way. Or go do what your job is. And for a year and a half, you've sat on the sidelines and you hadn't made a move. I don't think they can afford. If they go into the postseason at some point with this roster, they got a lot of limitations and they don't have depth. And I don't think that's going to be enough. You're going to depend on your 23-year-old Dalton Connect to come through every single night. That's not going to happen. Clearly, guys like Gabe Vincent and Max Christie, these guys, you can't rely on a night in, night out basis. I got no idea when Vando's coming back. D'Angelo Russell is the definition of hot and cold. Which player is going to show up on any given night? So, that would be my overall thoughts on Pelinka. That'd be my overall thoughts on kind of where this team is sitting right now.